Everybody, I am Enesse, and this is Millennial Talk 2.0, multilingual intergenerational global community, multilingual intergenerational conversations. Lo siento. And this is on the WCEG Network. And I wanted to let you know that the views of this show do not reflect those of the network. Today, we have a very special guest, and I know you hear that all the time, but I mean, we have a celebrity chef in the office today, okay? So we are going to talk about family, food, and motivation today. We also want to let you know that you should subscribe to our YouTube channel for the WCEG Network and go ahead and follow us on your favorite social media platforms and wherever you get your podcasts. We're on 12 podcast platforms as well as a Roku channel. So go ahead and check us out. We have so many shows that you would love to get to know those different hosts and the guests that they have. I mean, honestly, it's a plethora of people that are amazing, just like today's guest. So today's setup for the show is a little bit different. It's a little bit different. We have Chef Liam in the building. Insert applause here, right?
Definitely. I'm excited to be on the show with you all today. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so like I said, today is a little bit different. We're going to be talking about food, family, and motivation. And specifically motivation because
Chef Liam.
can you mute it? Thank you. So specifically food, family, and motivation because we're going into the holiday season. And for a lot of people, this is a stressful season. And I mean, I understand that for my family, this is the first time we're going through a holiday season without one of our main figures in our family. So moving through traditionally won't be the same this year for us. So it can cause a little bit of stress when you are navigating things like grief, food addictions, just in general, stuff like that. And like changing diets, because a lot of people are trying to find their own version of healthy. So we have celebrity chef Liam in the building today to talk about that and how it affects our mental state and moving forward. Are you ready?
Yes, I am. I'm very ready.
Well, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Wonderful. So today I want to take you on a journey that it revolves around three pillars that are fundamentally the essence of our lives: food, family, and motivation. These three pillars seemingly are the fabric of our lives, partnered with faith, right? They influence our choices, they shape our identities, and they steer the course of our journeys. Let me begin with the first cornerstone: food. Food, my favorite, is mere, not even a sustenance for most of what is the celebration of culture, a bridge to between generations, and a way which we express our creativity and the way that we live. And for some, kind of a self-soothe, right? So think about the last time you shared a meal with a loved one, the laughter, stories, and shared experiences around the table, memories that linger well beyond our plates are clear. Think about the tears that we have shed, even the tumultuous thoughts that we have over cooking and even eating. Food has been a universal language. It's a language that connects us all somehow, transcending boundaries and honestly for a lifetime. But let us also remember that food holds the key to cognitive learning, mood regulation, as well as it helps us sustain the energy that is needed. I mean, truly the energy that is needed. The food we choose can either enhance us or hinder us in our ability to excel. If we take the time to remember food's original purpose, I mean, God's real original purpose, it's to shift the needs and to be able to become a touch easier in the way that we handle our journey towards health and wellness. So in my childhood, I remember food being a pivotal point of what was brought us or what brought us together. I mean, truly brought us together. It was the bond during the holidays, as many for you. It was where most of us, our precious memories come from. I mean, stop and think about a time that you can really remember the time you sat down with your family and shared a meal and how that really felt, right? I know I can remember being in the kitchen with my grandmother and macaroni and cheese. Ooh, just being the thing that no matter how much I now try as an adult, trying to get it to taste like my grandmother's, it will never happen. But it was the one thing that was a pivotal moment or memory for me. Now let's shift our focus to the second pillar, family, right? So yesterday I was given the privilege to participate in something called Sleep Out. Sleep Out is where we all get together and we give up for one night our comfort and the warmth to raise awareness, to raise funds for the unhoused and the trafficked youth in the Atlanta community. Many of their stories start the exact same way my youth ended in the foster care system, abused, abandoned, and left feeling like family really truly didn't matter or even exist. But what matters to most of us, and we don't even realize until we get more seasons in our life, is family is the compass that guides us, the anchor that grounds us, as well as provides us the foundation of support, values, aspirations, and the refuge that gives us the strength to push forward. It's not just about blood, because I know some of you are like, what? You just finished talking about all the negatives. How is it that it's still really about family? But it's because it's about blood, not about blood relations. It's about the people who stand by us through thick and thin. It's a world that often seems extremely chaotic, but the support and the love of our family provides us with the strength and the sanctuary that we need. Cherish those moments with your family. For in them, you find not only the shared history, but the unwavering support that pushes you and I forward. The third and final pillar is motivation, right? Motivation is what forces us to propel and think about those big dreams, how to overcome adversity, and how to reach new heights. It's the fire within us that really refuses to be extinguished, the driving force that turns aspirations into reality. I mean, it's everything. But motivation is one that's not a one size fits all concept. So, where does motivation come from? It's not often arise from the synergy or our experiences with food or the bonds that we share with our families. It's everything around us. Think about the times that you have been motivated by desire to provide for your loved ones or even to create better futures for not only yourself, but also your family and the ones you love the most. Now, take a moment to just imagine what a world with all three of these pillars coming together would really look like, where the simple act of sharing a meal becomes the catalyst for family bonds, and where the love and the support of our families ignite the flames of motivation. It's a world where the essence of our humanity is distilled into these three interconnected elements. So as we navigate the complexities of our life, for a moment, let us not forget the power that lies within the simplicity of sharing a meal and the strength that it meets the forms of bonds that we form with our family and the force of motivation. Embrace these pillars, let them guide you, and let the witness of transformative power be the ones that hold us. In closing, I want you all to just remember a simple thing. The tapestry of our lives is woven within the trends of food, family, and motivation. As we savor the richness of the experiences, let us strive to create a world where these three pillars are not just personal pursuits, but shared treasures that bind us together within humanity. I am Chef Liam, plain and simple. Thank you.
Wow. Yes. Yes, ma'am. So you were talking about food, family, and motivation. One thing I like to do with people I consider to be family, because like you said, family isn't always about who's blood relatives, who are your blood relatives. Family can be those people you choose. And I mentioned this in my book, and I said how the family you choose, I call them fram, because those can be your friends, and those they choose to stay in your life, whereas family, sometimes you feel obligated by because they have a certain title, and even if they mistreat you, you feel like I owe them this because they're family, versus friends who you can end a friendship by choice, or you can choose to develop it. And so I love that you said that it's not about blood, but one thing I absolutely love is a game night, and no game night is complete without food. I honestly don't know any time I have a game night if there's no food, I don't I don't know. Like it don't make sense to me. So one thing I do appreciate is a good meal with the people I love, and playing games, like laughing, because life has enough things that'll bring you down. So when we incorporate food, that typically lifts spirits. Like, I mean, I'm a foodie. I am a foodie. I don't know all them fancy meals, but when I eat, I'll eat, girl. Like I've had stuff that I don't even know the name of. What is your go-to? My family gonna love this, but they don't really know this dish.
Um, so I am someone who creates food with my nose, not with my mouth. So I am really good with my family on just creating anything. Literally, you can put like four things in front of me and I'm going to create anything. It's the craziest thing, but it's because my nose guides me. So I don't necessarily feel like I have a go-to food. Um, but I think the one thing that I strive to try to make on a regular and to make it just like my grandmother is my macaroni and cheese.
All right, I'm gonna hold you to that. You said you cooking on Thanksgiving.
I don't know this year. I didn't open myself up to cooking for clients this year, so I don't know if I'm gonna cook. We have to think about it.
Well, shoot, I mean, I got a Friendsgiving and a Thanksgiving coming up, so I'm gonna have to get something off of you. Can you please tell us how we can order from you in the future? I know you do more than meals, but I want you to go into like everything you do food wise, so that your customers are here. I mean, we all speak food. That's a Maslow hierarchy of need, base one. We all need shelter, like you said, with the unhoused, you were talking about with the sleep out. Here in Atlanta, I know that the homeless, or it's unhoused is better than homeless to say. Okay, so I know that the unhoused population, I know that the unhoused population here in Atlanta is very large. And so I didn't know that the sleep out exists. How do you know how often they do that? Is it an annual thing or
So sleep out is with the Covenant House, which there is a Covenant House in many cities across the nation. And it is something they do every Thursday before Thanksgiving in different cities. So I know there's New York, LA, Florida, Atlanta, and then some more. And I believe there's also one outside of the country as well. I apologize, I don't remember in what country. Um, but yes, our unhoused and our traffic population is huge, and our traffic population in Atlanta is one of the biggest in the nation. So yes, it's extremely important for us to be able to find ways to give back. And that's my most passionate give back, is to work with our unhoused youth.
So, based on the fact that you like to make really good food, it seems that you like to make people smile.
Definitely. My biggest passion is not only to make people smile, but it's also to help people find their own version of healthy. That's what I live by. That's what I stand for. That's what I strive for every single day in every area of my life, is helping people find their own version of healthy. We're too busy looking at social media or the news or our best friends or our moms and aunts and uncles, instead of just figuring out what works for us. So for me, food is the way that I deliver that, whether it's through speaking, cooking, or educating others about their own version of healthy.
So, educating about your own version of healthy, how do you start?
Honestly, it's about understanding who you are as a person, where you stand within life, and what it is that you are placed on this earth to do, and where you want to go with what it is that you're placed here for. By understanding that, you can truly create your own version of healthy, whether that's by taking an extra moment to park a little bit further and take extra steps to a doctor's appointment or to a grocery store, whether it's about adding a few extra glasses of water to your day, whether it's adding ginger or turmeric tea, or whether it's about finding something to do that's going to be self-caring for yourself. Get your nails done, get your hair together, lines up for you brothers. I mean, really, it's about finding your own version of healthy and not making it be like anyone else's.
I really like that because we are all unique. So, our versions of healthy should depend on each individual and not in comparison. I never would have thought of it that way. I would have, because I know a lot of guys might think, oh, I don't have abs, so that must mean I'm out of shape, or I don't lift this much, so that must mean whatever. But thinking about it on like, well, I might not have abs, but I can jog for 6 miles, or I can do this instead. I don't have to use that image. It's like when I was younger, I didn't see anybody in magazines that looked like me, or at least like if I did, it was so far fetched. It didn't match, like it hurt my self-esteem for a lot of it. And like especially in that middle school age range, it is detrimental to your mental when you can't see yourself and what you're looking at. So I think that's why a lot of us are looking at social media and we're comparing, because like we really want to see ourselves, but then when we see where we fall short, it takes the opposite effect. Like it's like, oh, I want to cheer for them, but that's good for them, but what about me? Like I'm not meeting the bar. So I like how you include the who you are into that dynamic of develop educating about having your own way of fit, or your own, is it your own version of fit or your own version of healthy?
It would be your own version of healthy. And you're really right. Let me just even take it a bit further and say this. So recently, I've been placed in a position where I have to use a walker as my everyday guide in order to keep me standing upright and not stumble on my face, right? And as not only someone who speaks and educates others, I'm also an influencer, baby one, but an influencer. So when I decided to figure out if I wanted to put out to other people about me being on a walker, I said, you know what, let me Google or let me hashtag influencers, disabled influencers, or influencers in walkers or wheelchairs. There is no one. But as much as I was trying to find my own version of reality in something or someone else, I also had to remember it's about me finding my own version of reality and healthy for myself and portraying that to others. So that way, when there is someone who's looking how to navigate whatever phase they're going through in life, whether it be through nutrition or movement or mental health, that they had someone positive to look up to. So the fact that you're not able to look on social media or in a magazine or on a television show and find someone that looked like you, it's okay because you're now creating a narrative of your own version of that for someone else to look up to, hopefully.
So recently, I was talking to my husband. Like, you just put this thought in my head. I didn't plan on talking about this. Maybe like a week ago, we were having a conversation, and I was like, I was like, should I do blank like this? And he was like, well, that's how other people would do it. And I have never seen you do anything exactly the same way as someone else. And then that made me think, oh, wow, I'm not basic. Like that was a great compliment. So, like, in what you're saying and what you're embracing as it might have been an impediment having a new walker in this phase of your life, it like you are embracing that sometimes things change, but that doesn't make you any less of who you are. It doesn't make you any less of an influencer. So I would like to ask you, what phases of life, I know you have two kids, how do you manage your clients? I'm not saying clients can be kids, but I treat each client with the same care that I would a family member that I care about. Let me be specific. A family member that I care about, I treat each client with that same respect. So I imagine with food, this is something that's going into their body and your reputation as a chef. So how do you manage being a mom and a business owner who has to basically take care of multiple people at one time?
So that's really a great question. I was having this conversation with a really close friend of mine. Um, and there were stages to that. So my boys are grown men now. They're 18 and 20, off in college. So when I started entrepreneurship as a full-time mother, I started when they were 15 and 16 years old. So the shift in the dynamic is a little different, but I can remember when they were smaller. So I can remember being on a very rigorous career path in life, and I was sitting in an interview to be a store manager of a company. And in the midst of having a conversation and just kind of touching on the personal just enough so they can understand who I am as a person, I realized that I was missing my youngest son's kindergarten graduation. Now, many people may look at that and like, oh, it's just kindergarten. You still have middle, high school, college to go through. But for me as a mother and a very active mother, that killed me. It destroyed me. But it was a shift for me to realize how important, as not only a mother, as a wife, then as a sibling, as a lover of God, and at the time, part-time entrepreneur, I had to shift my mindset on worrying about my family and myself first, and then everything else will fall in line. And even though the situation was a little different then, but it still reigns true now. In order for me to be an active mother, in order for me to be an active partner to the person who I'm with now, or to be an active friend, I have to worry about taking care of myself and figuring out what versions of me need the healing or the motivation or the extra push and strength in order for me to be a great mom. So that's where every entrepreneur has to remember is, again, worrying about your own version of self, your own version of healthy, your self-care in order you to show up in all areas of your life, including being a parent and being the best at it.
Give me a second because whoa. Like I mean I'm processing because that was wow, like it's different when they're younger kids and then when they as they grow up, when you have the freedom to be a full-time mompreneur is when they have the ability to handle their own things but still be in there. And yes, those kindergarten graduations are important. I remember where my kindergarten graduation was. Like, it was at the Magic Johnson Theater in and Ben Hill. Like I remember stuff like that. So the fact that you understood like this is more important. Like I ended up leaving a job when my daughter was born because after like I went back to work for like 5 or 6 weeks and I was missing milestones. And it was people who were spending more time with my child than I was. And they were telling me, oh, your daughter is doing this. And I was like, I don't want to miss this. And I like that you had that epiphany too. And I feel like a lot of our viewers who are mompreneurs or their moms who are working and jobs and they're like, I got to do something different. I'm missing too much because you only get to be a parent of a little for only a little bit of time. And as they grow up and go off to college, you're thinking about all the I would haves and I should haves, but I like how you don't have to. I like how you made the shift earlier enough on to say, I don't want to put my business before my family. My family comes first. My self-care comes first. My relationship with God comes first. And then my business comes first. So that is an excellent way to organize your time and your business.
It's important, but I know I understand the struggles, where some may feel like no one understands what they're going through. Let me explain something to you. I've always been very mindful and proud and honored to say all of my proclivities have made me who I am, and I stand in them. Um, Not to make it a long situation, but I was raised by my grandmother. I was in foster care. I have been sexually assaulted. I have been homeless. I have had epilepsy for all 40 years of my life. I've had asthma issues. I have had so many things go on in my life, but I stand determined to overcome each and every one of those things that God places in front of me. Yes, God places in front of me, because all he's doing is making me stronger in order to handle the next thing that he places in front of me. So even when you feel like, God, I have so much going on, I have so many things that are surrounding me and taking away my time, how do I focus on being an entrepreneur? How do I focus on being a mother or a father to my children? How do I focus on being the best version of myself? Literally, you just have to stand in who you are, know what you are, know what you want, and work on each aspect that at a piece at a time. It's possible, 100% possible. You just have to stand in it and know what you want and keep going.
So earlier in relation to what you're saying now, wow, you are a very strong person. And did you say 40?
I did. I had my 40th birthday this year, and it was an amazing milestone because it was surrounded around family, not the blood, but wait, what is the word that you used? Family?
Fram.
Family. I was surrounded around nothing but my family.
That is amazing. Oh my gosh, congratulations. 40 years. Girl, you don't look like you 40. But I mean, you know what they say. You know what they say. Ain't even gotta say it. We already know. But I wanted to go back based off of what you were saying with dealing with epilepsy and um, foster care and abuse and being raised by your grandmother. Wow, I wish I could give you a hug right now. Like, I'm gonna give you a hug later today. Is that cool? Can I give you a hug?
I welcome hugs from left, right, forward, backwards. They're like the best thing ever. So yes.
But also, you were talking about you had to heal a version of yourself so that you can move forward, and especially with raising kids. I understand that there's a lot in my past that I have to heal, and a lot of cycles that I am actively working to break so that they do not show up in my kids or in my nieces and my nephews. My siblings and I, we had a, life was life, and so we are actively working on repairing our relationship. Like I was just on the phone with my brother this morning. I was like, yeah, we've been together for like 20 something years, like as siblings, but we all know we have dominant personalities. So we cannot live in the same house. We can live in the same neighborhood, but we can't live in the same house. But we have to heal our relationships as siblings so that our kids don't carry on a lot of those bad habits we've seen growing up. And so we're breaking those cycles, but we have to start with a conversation. And those conversations typically happen about this time of the year when the holidays come. They say this is the most wonderful part of the wonderful time of the year. And to me, it's because of the food, it's because of the family, it's because of the quality time you get to spend laughing with the people you love. Even though we only get one day off here in not July, what month are we in November? It's my birthday and I didn't forgot what one. So even though we only get one day off for the most part, for a lot of us on Thursday, on Thanksgiving, we only get that one day off, and then we get Christmas off, and like we get New Year's off. We got to start maximizing those times as families, especially in our communities. The communities that don't need help, fine. But for the communities and the families who do need help, I just talked to my brother. We're gonna start having quarterly family meetings. So we're gonna treat it like our business. Whereas with a business, you meet with your client, you discuss everything that you're gonna do together, and then how you're gonna move forward. So this was a conversation this morning. So moving forward, I'm thinking like, what do we need to do to heal? What do we need to do to move forward properly? Like, how do we move forward as a family? And I like starting with different activities. Like, it's this one thing I did. I probably will talk about it on not my podcast, my YouTube. Is there was this person who really rubbed me the wrong way, and for years I like held on to this anger of how this person hurt me. And then maybe 2 years ago, I wrote them a letter, and like I wrote two versions of the letters. The first one, I was real. The second one, I had to, I edited it for their consumption, and then like I mailed it to them. But I put $1 in that, because if I'm about to insult you, let me at least pay you to hear what I got to say. Because if I'm over here insulting you, you don't care what I got to say, but you're gonna want this dollar, and then now you're curious about what the letters say. Because what if you didn't know you offended me in this way?
Now, wait a minute. I thought you were gonna say, let me at least give them $1 to pay for the stamp to insult me back. You said, let me pay you for my thoughts. I love it.
So I know I have family members that have been offended by other family members. They have no idea. So at one of our family meetings, I'm going to suggest this, and like maybe let's cash out each other $1 anytime you got something negative to say. But then like this person hears it because there's money attached to it. You know how much more stuff we care about when we are getting paid to care about it? Like, what if someone else is offended and they don't know they're continually in an offensive way towards you? And what if they can fix it, but they can't hear you because they're worried about this bill, that bill? Like, it's not personal to them. So when you add that $sign to it, it becomes, oh, I see how I hurt you. How can we move forward? How can we heal? So in all of that, my question for you is, what cycles do you feel like you have to break? Because I know you were talking about your childhood. What, like, and being a mother, you already seem like you broke a cycle there. So what else are you breaking? And you gonna pass me that recipe for that mac and cheese, sis?
When I get it, when I get it perfected, like my grandma, then I have no problem with sharing it with the world. But I think the cycle that I broke is time. Um, I had pieces of my childhood with time meant everything to me, which is the time that I've had surrounding with my grandmother and all the positive that came with it. But then after that, obviously, because of the situations, time was taken from me in different spaces. So with my children, I made it very, very important about how we spent time together. And majority of the time, honestly, was spent in the kitchen. Part of it was because of time that needed to be spent, but it was also was because I had two little boys. Like, who wants boys who can't cook? Like, who we as moms, we want our boys to be able to fend for themselves. So I want my boys to know how to cook for themselves, how to clean for themselves, how to build for themselves, how to navigate through knives for themselves. But because I made sure that that was taken care of, that's how we created our time. So we spent time learning how to bake and how to cook and how to be healthy and how to create forms of movement together, making sure that I showed up to their martial arts tournaments, making sure that I showed up to have lunch with them in the cafeteria while they were at school, or making sure I spent time with them at amusement parks or art galleries or whatever. It was just time that was not given to me. So that was a generational curse that I felt that I needed to navigate and create different for my kids.
Wow. Time is the only thing that cannot be bought. I mean, you can't buy love too, but yeah, time cannot be bought. You can't get it back. There's no return like at Walmart. You only have now and moving forward. You have memories, but you have to only live in this now. They said now it's called the present because it's a gift. And so it's nice knowing that you maximize those times, making those memories with your boys who they're 18 and 20 now. So like they will forever remember that one time their mom showed up because it's somebody who was in that lunchroom wishing, hoping that their parent would come through that door and eat lunch with them. But then like I mean, I might have been that person at the time. But whenever my grandparents would show up on grandparents' day, I remember those days and having those experiences. Honestly, time was the key concept with changing what I do with my life. So when you said that, it was like, yeah, I understand that because my daughter's only going to be this little for a little while, like I said. But that was the main thing of why I chose to homeschool her is being able to not only not control what she learns, but guide it in a productive manner. Because the school systems are starting to really fail us when we're going out into the real world. I mean, coming from someone who has student loans, coming from someone who has to learn things the hard way personally, I wish the schools or my family could have taught me stuff, but my family didn't know that certain things needed to be taught because they weren't taught themselves. They learned the hard way. So that cycle was repeated and it ends with me because my daughter will know how to move forward with certain things, like especially finances. That's the main thing, but health. And so because you are a foodie, my daughter's allergic to everything. Like it feels like it, man. Like cooking for her is one of the hardest things. But I wrote it into her homeschool curriculum. We have a class about food health and safety. And she's only 2, but she knows how to say all of her allergies. She's allergic to beans, dairy, eggs, nuts, soy, and wheat. So
I love that. But that's something. So, this is one of the things that I loved about the unlearned community. I believe that's the correct terminology, or the unschooled community. Um, you take life application to be the education. That's amazing. You are an amazing mom for being able to do that. The average person who even may be a stay-at-home mom doesn't have the will or the tenacity to do so. So the fact that you're taking the time to educate your child in a real life applicable way is great. I applaud you for that.
thank you. It's very hard, like because she's allergic to all of my favorite foods. So going into the holiday season with like she can have cranberry sauce for the most part, but like going into the holiday season, the mac and cheese, they have like Daya Foods, they have a version of mac and cheese so she can share in that moment. So she's not missing out looking on everyone else's plate, the way we look on someone else's Instagram, the way we look at someone else's life. She like I want to be able to get my version of healthy to match a version that I want my daughter to look up to. Like she doesn't have to look up to me, but I want to set the example that she doesn't just fall for anything because she's not standing for who she is. And so earlier you were talking about values and morals being added into when you are educating about food. I want my daughter to have like a set of values because moving forward, she can't move like everyone else because she can't eat like everyone else, but she can still eat in a way like she's allergic to all the foods that are bad for us. So moving forward, like how do you embrace clients who have special dietary restrictions?
So, because I've gone through some medical conditions in my life, one of the biggest things that I do with working with my clients is I don't tell them the can'ts or the no's. I give them the yeses, or this is what we substitute, or this is what we change, intentionally, because I didn't like being told no because I had this situation going on with me. So your daughter is already being given the foundation of creating her own version of healthy, which is a great thing. Um, it may have been forced upon her, but it's a good thing. So when working with clients, it's about, this is my situation or this is my goal, whether it's to gain weight, lose weight, adjust the way that my lifestyle is for health reasons, um, whether it's because I don't want to get to where everyone else in my family is or is going. We talk about all the things that you have going on, talk about your likes and dislikes, and I now create a plan of action as to what you can do or have, not about all the things you can't.
What a perspective shift. Like, and earlier you said how God was preparing you for the next stage. Like, you went through what you had to go through so that you could help. It became your testimony. It became your foundation in a way that helps so many other people who, like me, had to Google what's in this item, what's in that. Can I eat this? Like, I'm having to learn how to redefine what I eat because I want to be able to have a plate that if my daughter grabs something, I don't have to freak out. Like, I absolutely hope she can grow out of some of these, specifically that peanut allergy. I know you're from New York, but I'm from Atlanta, and I love me some boiled peanuts, especially the Cajun ones. And my daughter cannot have peanuts, and I'm scared to even open up the peanut butter in the house when she's there. Like when I went to Woman Evolve in Texas a couple of months ago, I was there like, oh, I'm about to eat all the peanut butter I can eat. Like, I ate a whole jar of peanut butter in 7 days. But moving forward, I wanted to ask you, like, what about those people in food deserts? Like, what do you do to help them move forward and get what they need?
So that's actually a great question. I was asked that probably three different times this week. So for instance, on one of the conversations I was having with about breast cancer and caregivers, someone wanted to understand, because they live on the West Coast and food is easier to be found versus being in the East Coast in Boston, where light gives up faster. So that means foods are harder to grow. It's really about understanding the season you're in, and understanding what foods are in those seasons or in order for you to eat, and letting that be what you sustain on. Because obviously at all times of the year, different foods are grown. Although majority of food is available all the time, they're usually grown in unhealthy ways because that is not the season they're meant to be grown in. So that's one. So eating in the season you're in. Also, making sure that if you're going to try to stick with fruits and vegetables, if they're not fresh available, then let's move to frozen, because that's the next best thing. All they're doing is taking that natural fruit and vegetable and or meat and putting it in a frozen state, but making sure you're paying attention to no extra preservatives or additives being added to it. So sticking to its most natural form as possible, but frozen will be your next option. And then, as much as people like to say, oh, well, I live in an apartment, so I can't grow anything, you can. I currently have tomatoes, bell peppers, thyme, rosemary, mint, and ginger and kale all growing on my patio. And I promise you, my patio is like 10 steps long. Just saying. So it's possible, but you just have to be innovative. I even, in my last place that I used to live before I moved into my current condo, I had a wall in my living room. Instead of putting up pictures, I had a bar and a little bitty hanging pots that I got from IKEA. And I just started putting things in the pots, and that's how I grew my food for myself. So it's about being innovative. It's about staying in season, and it's about moving to what's the next best thing. So if it's not fresh, it's going to be frozen. And if frozen's still not an option, then can, but just look for minimal preservative, minimal sodium in what you're eating. And lastly, obviously, making sure that if you can grow something, grow it and use it. Put a little love and care. Let that be your self-care.
Girl, I'm over here taking notes because I got a green stalk. Are you familiar with the growing vertically with the green stalk?
I have
I
heard of it. I want one.
I I love it. Like I can see plants growing already and I'm excited, but you said you got thyme and ginger and rosemary. Like I need help, girl. Like I put some stuff in there and like I'm watering it, but the other day when we were on the phone, you said treat it like the silent child you have, and I'm like, yeah, okay. So I have indoor plants. We also have an indoor greenhouse that has not been used since I killed the plants in there a couple years ago, but I kept everything alive for the last year. So now that I'm growing food and it's like sprouting, I'm trying to make sure that I'm treating it properly. So when you said that the other day, it really opened my perspective. Like treat it like a child that like I feed my daughter every day. So I'm gonna go start taking care of my plants every day, or at least trying to at least every other day at that. So with what you said, the hanging baskets on the wall in your living room, perspective shift again. Like I really love how many gems you're dropping here, especially you're talking about people who are in food deserts that have to be indoors for a lot of their year. What about those people who are going into college? How do you help those kind of customers who are trying to learn how to meal prep or meal plan, like, or stay on budget when they go in the store? Because I know when I go in the store, well, when the pandemic happened and I could start picking up everything, like I order online and then they come bring it to the car, I save a lot more money that way. Because I'll go in the store with the list and say I'm not getting anything that's not on the list, and then I have a thing for shiny things. So like, oh, it's this random fruit that I haven't seen in 5 years. I want this fruit. So how do you help those college students?
And so I'm going to drop a quick gem and then respond to that. So anytime you go into any form of a store and there's food there, drink a bottle of water, eat a snack, or bring a snack, right? And if that's not possible, especially if you're in a grocery store, immediately head to the fruit and vegetable aisle, immediately pick up a banana, grapes, an apple, or strawberries, because those are items that you can bring the shell of them and say, hey, I ate this, go ahead and ring it up. But it keeps you focused on not picking up anything else outside of your list because you're now feeding your body hunger at the same time, right? But in regards to our college students, so honestly, that becomes based on the college and the campus rules. So I have two boys in college in two very different cities in the state of Florida. My oldest son was not allowed his first year to have like hot plates and all that extra stuff. It was really just a microwave and a refrigerator, period. But now that he's a sophomore, he's allowed to have more. So we are allowed to get him a griddle. He is allowed to have an air fryer, things like that. So granted, I'm not really huge on electrical or conventional cooking. There's this a whole nother medical side to that. Not to say that I don't use those things, I just minimize my use to them. But that's how we encourage my son to cook rather than eating from the food sources that the colleges provide. I also make sure that when I go and see my kids, that I'm spending time on getting them not only just their needs, but the things that I know their body needs in order for me to help them sustain their education at the same time. So I'm making sure, even though they're picking up the boxes of cereal or the fruit snacks, because that's the things they like to randomly pick up, I'm picking up the fruits and vegetables for them. Or my oldest son absolutely loves ramen. Now he likes the true ramen, not the ramen noodles that we all like to go get for 25 cents. He likes to get the Asian versions of them, but I teach them to put in a boiled egg, put in the vegetables that are frozen, to add lunch meat to it. So you get a full round of a meal, which then is almost like having a poke bowl or a Vietnamese, I don't remember the actual name for them, but a version of Pho. Yes, I don't know how I forgot that because it's like one of my favorite things to eat during the winter. But I teach them to add things to them to make sure they get a well-balanced meal in the midst of it. So again, it's really about following the rules and regulations at college based off what they give you, especially, or even one of the fact that if you have a full scholarship, as one of my sisters had, so you eat on campus what they're giving to you, but it's about making wise decisions. And even if they're not decisions placed in front of you that look wise or healthy, finding ways to create a healthy platform to put in your body at the same time.
So when I was in college, you know how they say the freshman 15, I gained mine probably more than that. But I was also depressed at that time. So I was going to food for comfort. So hearing what you said, it's like, huh, you followed the rules. I like that. But for me, I got food poisoning at my school 3 times. And no, after that, no, because I had the meal plan. I paid $5,400. Yes, I still remember $5,400 because the student loans, and now it's going to get interest on it. So I paid $5,400 for this first year of food, and I couldn't even eat it because after you get sick from a place, you don't want to go back there a second time. But I had no other option. I couldn't. I didn't like. I was working, but I was in school full time, so my work couldn't afford to feed me the way I needed it to. So I had to go to the salad bar more times than not, instead of going to the pizza side of it. And pizza is one of my favorite foods, specifically because we're talking about food and family. Pizza and spaghetti and tacos are my 3 favorite foods. All right, and Philly cheesesteaks. Okay, so those are my favorite foods, minus the Philly cheesesteak, because you usually share those. You usually share those with people you care about. I'm not sharing my pizza with anybody now, except for my husband.
But let's
But
talk about that for a minute, though. Even though they may be your favorite foods and they may seem like they are unhealthy foods, there's ways to make them healthy, even when you don't have a whole lot of money. Ready? Naan bread or thin bagels. Utilize that to make personalized pizzas off of them. Put real pesto instead of tomato sauce. Put your own lunch meat on top of it instead of using the pepperoni, even if it's turkey pepperoni. They're not good for you. It's full of sodium. So use lunch meat instead. Take asparagus, chop them up really fine, throw those on there. Take olives, throw those on there. Take anything. There's so much you can do with pizza. It's crazy. And then you can do it so healthy. Spaghetti. Change out the type of pasta you're eating. Instead of using generalized regular white pasta, use wheat pasta, use veggie pasta, use chickpea pasta. You don't cook them as long in order for them to not taste gummy, but they're healthier for you to use. Rather than using red sauce, if your body can't handle it, use pumpkin sauce. Yes, girl, pumpkin sauce and butternut squash sauce is amazing. It's one of my favorite things, as well as my boyfriend's favorite thing. He will prefer that over red sauce any day of the week. But add some cheese to that. Add frozen vegetables to it. Add meat to it. It's amazing. So there's ways to work around and make things healthy, even for the things we absolutely love. I promise.
I am enjoying this conversation. I love food. Oh my gosh, I told you I'm a foodie. So spaghetti, girl, the other day I think I made my best pot of spaghetti ever. My daughter, like I said, she has all of those allergies, and so she cannot have regular pasta. So we've been using tinta yada pasta, and it's made out of rice. And it's really good. So imagine rice with some spaghetti sauce, but then like you said, healthy. I added pineapples because, well, pineapples do go on pizza. I don't care what anyone says. So pineapples, and then like I chopped up. I'm trying to stay off of meat. I chopped up some spinach, not spinach. What's zucchini and yellow squash, and I used that to give like a chunky kind of feel. And my husband doesn't like mushrooms anymore, so I didn't put those in there. But nutritional yeast by Bob Red Mill, my daughter can have that specific brand, so I put that one in there. And oh my gosh, it was the best part I've had. Like I made myself. Like I love me some spaghetti. So being able to give my daughter a version that she can have that still tastes good. And like what you were talking about, pepperoni, she can't even eat pepperoni. It has, yes, it has the sodium, like you said. I never even thought about the sodium aspect. It has soy in it, and soy is in so many vegetarian substitutes. I just wish that I just wish that there were more options of vegetarian items without soy or without beans. But I know that's where a lot of vegetarians and vegans get their protein source. So, what would you suggest to the person who is in college? Earlier, I ain't even tell you, girl, I was breaking all the rules. $5,400 and I can't eat this food. I won't eat something. So I bought me a little rice cooker back then, and I was using it like a pot. I ain't have a hot plate, so it was real quick to hot whenever the RN or RAs would come in. But I needed to be able to eat because that I can't focus on studying if I'm hungry. And a lot of kids go to school hungry. And so one of my goals is to be able to help work with foundations who help feed kids who are hungry because they can't learn when they are hungry. And I like that you said feeding your boys what their bodies need to focus in school, but also letting them get what they need, like, or what they want to. Those fruit snacks, I don't got no fruit in them. They don't got no fruit in them, but yeah, we love them though, like because it's just sugar. So I'm learning now in this season how to take out meat and excess sugars, and I love me some barbecue sauce. But when you told me pumpkin and squash, or what did you say, butternut squash sauce? Girl, I'm trying that because I want options that are accessible for my baby without giving her acid issues. So I appreciate you for offering those. I also wanted to make sure you told our audience how they can access you. What's your website? What's your handles? How do we contact Celebrity Chef Leo?
So it's pretty simple. You can contact me on all platforms at Lee, Leigh, like Raleigh, North Carolina, drop the raw, underscore plain and simple, because I am truly that plain and simple. Or you can reach me at my website, which is going to be www.aso, A as an apple, S as in Sam, O as an Oscar, H as in Henry, lifestyle.com, because I am a spoonful of health, lifestyle.com. I'm ready and willing to and able to work with anyone who is looking to make a lifestyle shift and change within their nutrition and movement. Or if you're looking for a motivational speaker, please definitely keep me in mind. And then be on the lookout for my health and wellness journal notebook combination. So again, you can reach me at my website, which is going to be www.asolifestyle.com, which is A as in Apple, S as in Sam, O as in Oscar, H as in Henry, lifestyle.com, or my social media, which is going to be Leigh, Leigh, underscore plain and simple, because I'm just that plain and simple.
So you may be plain and simple, but I'm assuming your food is not.
Yeah, no. As much as people would like to think that healthy food tastes bad or doesn't have a taste, my food's completely opposite. I promise.
So that's when they say it's layers to this. You got layers to that food, huh? Okay, all right. So the last thing I wanted to say is I really appreciate you coming on the show. I look forward to having more conversations with you and finding a way for us to collaborate. Because, like I said, my daughter got these allergies. This is, as of right now, I'm assuming a lifelong commitment, and I need options, and I also need someone who's going to cook for her so I can go do the other stuff. I love spending more time with her in the educational aspect. Like, I call it educational because everything she's doing now is learning. So I love spending time with her, and I hate washing dishes. Well, I don't hate washing dishes. I hate when it's like a lot of dishes because I have to maximize my time pockets, and so I have to cook like 3 or 4 meals at one time, and so we can get through, all right, today, tomorrow, and then start the next day, and then we'll go through and we'll cook a quick meal then. So I want to make sure that we have the opportunity to collaborate with you. And I know I've run into other parents who have other allergies, and I would love to figure something out because waiting for you to get your line of pots and pans and some utensils, some like something that if you buy this, you support unhoused youth and being able to get a meal or something. So we can figure this out together, but somebody watching might know someone. So if you know someone, you already have her handles. I'm gonna give you mine. I'm at the letter N, the letter S, the word reviews, LLC, and that's on Instagram, YouTube, all of that. So go ahead and support your girl and then support my sis, okay?
Thank you again for having me. It was a pleasure. And I look forward to not only working with anyone and everyone who is looking to work with me, I look forward to coming back for sure.
But thank you for your time.
Bye.